Okay, last time where we left off on the other video, I had basically just exported the very first report that goes into the Excel spreadsheet, as well as backed up the data file. What you're seeing here on the screen, I just want to explain this again real quickly. Since I actually, when I did the backup, I actually told it to name it with a date and time, and that's this file right here. If I had not said that, and I could have just as easily had overwritten just the same backup file over and over again, and it would have just been this chapter 1 data file. And that's okay, because usually you don't want the older version. Now, and I'm talking about just chapter 1, you will want to have a backup file for every chapter. When we get ready to start chapter 2, for example, we are going to restore this chapter 1 data file, and then when we save it, when it asks us to save it to whatever file we're going to do, the actual working file, we're going to save that to chapter 2. So when we end up backing up chapter 2's working file, we'll back it up and call it chapter 2 backup file. So and I know a lot of this may be confusing to some, and that's fine, because we're going to go through it. But if you look at where all your files are, you will see several, as I mentioned before, and you see this is the backup file. This company file right here is the working file, and when I open QuickBooks, because this is the only one file that I have, it's going to automatically open this data file that says Chapter 1, Donna Mallory Chapter 1. As I begin to have more, if I keep these working files, then it's going to pick up the most recent one. Most likely it will pick up the most recent one that you had when you last opened QuickBooks. So now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to open up QuickBooks. And it's wanting to know if it should install an update. And hopefully this won't take long, because I want to show you, again, for those of you who may not be as experienced with doing some of the stuff on the computer, if you do have updates, it's a good idea just to go ahead and update it, because there could be patches and errors and different things like that you want it to go ahead and make sure that you've got the most up-to-date version to minimize any more problems than you really should have. So what I'm going to do, since I've already created the very first, I think it was a trial balance, now I'm going to start with the exercises, exercise 1.1 on page 1.50. And this should be fairly short, because I'm just going to go and create a couple of reports. And then after I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to do the project, which is going to be opening up a brand new data file. Under the project, we'll actually be doing Larry's landscaping. So that's a completely different file, and I need to show you what that looks like. And you can see that it's going through and it's doing patches. So apparently they've had a lot of updates to this software since the CD, because I have not updated it prior to now. Everything I have done on QuickBooks, you're seeing it through these videos. So I'm going through the exact same steps that you should actually be seeing as you're doing the work. And I'm going to take you all the way through Chapter 1, as well as actually grading Chapter 1. And after these temporary installation files, it should be finished. And I'll try to always be consistent as far as where you're saving your files, because if not, You may accidentally save to more than one place, and then you won't even, where you may not remember where some of your files actually are. So that's the reason I'm putting everything under this QuickBooks data folder here. As you can see right here, it says my version is up to date, so I'm going to go ahead and do OK. When I do, it should load it. And it loads it, instead of bringing up the company, it actually loaded it with no company open, as it says here. And the only one that I have is this one. You may have more than that, and you may not. And it always wants to update the company file as well. If it says not responding there, don't worry about that. It's just doesn't want you clicking around on the computer while it's trying to do this little update. Again, you always get that disclaimer. Okay, so now I'm finally in, and I'm going to go to task 1. Task 1.1 is saying that if you don't have your company file open, and I do, then it wants you to restore a backup file. I'm not restoring the backup file right now. I will do that a little bit later. As long as you have a working file, you don't have to restore the backup file. But if you're concerned that maybe you don't have the most recent, or there's a problem or anything, you can always just go straight to a restore your most recent backup file, and you'll be okay. All right, I don't want to send information to QuickBooks, so I'm actually going to say no there. Okay, so under 1.1, it's saying after I restored my backup, in which I'm not, I didn't need to do that, then it asked me to go under the company menu and actually change the name. So company information. And apparently I did that already. So I may be repeating something that was in the prior video. Okay, so now I can go to task 2 and create the profit and loss statement. So it tells me to click reports on the icon bar, company and financial, which it's already open right here, but if you want to click it. Profit and loss standard. If I need to change the dates, I can change them right here. I could either manually change these dates if I clicked on it, or as the instruction say in your book, put last month. But if the dates weren't last month, then you could just as easily go through here and change the dates right here. Always make sure that you hit this run button, because it's going to have the most, whatever it had last had as far as the data populated, which was December, it could have December data there. It doesn't hurt to go ahead and hit the run button. It doesn't take long. Just go ahead and do it. If you come in here and you decide that you're going to change the dates right here, hit this refresh button, because when you change these dates, it doesn't automatically change the data until you hit refresh. So I've done the report. I'm going to do Excel. I'm going to update the existing worksheet. Right here, I'm going to make sure, since I can't see all the way through, I'm going to make sure that it's actually pulling the right file. And it is. It's the only one that I have. But of course, as we go along, you'll want to make sure it's chapter 2 or chapter 3 and so forth. Always click this right here. If you don't, it's going to put it in some other place where you don't want it. So don't forget. And then you want to go down, and this is the 1.1.1 1.2, which follows right along with task 2, chapter 1, task 2 in your book. So that's the explanation of what these numbers are. I can hit advanced, or I can hit run. Okay, right here it says you selected to update an existing worksheet with new data. Do you want to continue? It knows there's data there. So yes, I do want to update an existing worksheet. If you were running monthly financial reports in your business, you may want a new worksheet for every month, and you may say, oops, that's not right. I really meant to create a new worksheet, you know, that sort of thing. So that's the reason it's giving you that alert. It just wants to make sure you understand what you're doing. So it came through, and here it is. Now, I'm not sure why it's creating this tab, but it does seem to be doing this every time we export a new file into Excel. It's coming along here, and it's putting a new tab here and called original. You can delete that. You can see it's not letting me click on it. If this happens, click on Excel, click back, and now you can get on there. I don't know why it does that, but that's the way to solve that. So then you want to do a right click on your mouse or your right button and delete this. Okay, so right now I had the chapter 1 that I did in the earlier video. Now I'm at my first exercise, 1.1.2. I need to save this because I need to close it out, because then I'll be ready to do the balance sheet. And one other thing, before we go to task 3, it wants you to go ahead and highlight certain numbers. Like on step 7 and 8, it asks you to highlight the largest income item and the largest expense item. That is nothing that is going to be actually graded by an auto grader. That is something that I view to make sure that you know how to read the financial statement. So that's more actually a task as far as analyzing financials more than QuickBooks. So you could just do like a yellow highlight or something on the cell, so it's just really easy to spot. Now we're ready to go on to the next task, which is the balance sheet. So we can close this out, and we're still in company and financial. So we can scroll down, and this is all the different balance sheets because it says balance sheet and net worth. And so I'm going to hit balance sheet standard, click on it, and then I want to make sure that I have the right date. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to do last month. I'm going to run it. There it is. Again, Excel, update. I know this is the right file. It's the only one that I have. Here it is. Again, we've got that original file that came up. I'm going to click off of Excel, click back on it so that I can come over here, right click, and delete this sheet. Now I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to start a new video to carry this on out. So these videos, each one is fairly short. So